Miss Rolfe.
Yes?
Pierre Chalon. Completion bond. I know nothing about a completion bond.
You requested £300,000 to be held in escrow.
David Relton may have requested it.
But I was under the impression that he was working on your behalf.
So was I, Miss Wilde, I assure you.
Well, what's all this about a deposit?
£250,000.
Well, I certainly haven't seen any of it.
This is your signature, is it not?
Well, yes, but...
The terms of the agreement state quite clearly a deposit of £250,000 on signature.
No, these figures must have been added after I signed.
And a further £250,000 on completion of the contract. Naturally, I'm willing to pay that amount after I take delivery of the cruiser.
Now, I'm afraid I can't allow you to take delivery of the cruiser, Monsieur Chalon, until after I've received the full amount.
You've already received half of it.
I've just told you I haven't had a penny of it.
Then would you mind explaining to me why my cheque for £250,000 and made out to Leisure Cruise was cashed several weeks ago?
I have no idea, but I certainly intend finding out.
Let me spare you the task. It's quite simple, Miss Wilde. You appear to have conspired with David Relton to commit fraud. Prevent me from taking delivery of the cruiser. That's a question you'll have to allow the courts to decide.
Away already, Monsieur Chalon?
I'll be back within a few days with a cheque to cover the outstanding balance on the cruiser. And I expect to take delivery, Miss Wilde. Exactly as planned. Otherwise, my lawyers will be in touch. May I ask just exactly how much money you lost?
£250,000.
And David Relton was entirely to blame. Entering into any litigation, illegally trade on your company's name. In the circumstances, it was perfectly natural for her to assume that you'll be doing business together.
In future, I assume you won't assume anything, Miss Rolfe. I'm sure we can all learn from the experience. It's ironic. If I'd only known of your distribution network throughout Europe, Miss Rolfe, we may have considered doing business together without David Relton intervening.
Do you mean you're not tied in with a European distributor?
I've recently been examining the Poelma Corporation. You obviously know of them.
We do indeed.
According to a reliable source, a takeover bid is imminent. That's why I've declined from entering into negotiations. Perhaps.
Overbid?
A gentleman by the name of Charles Frey.
Extremely well.
And he'll need to be. According to my source, he could find himself facing a takeover bid of his own.
Yes, what about?
The Poelma Corporation?
Ah, and what have you heard?
Still the same, that they're about to be taken over.
Yes, but by whom?
Charles Freer, a property developer, an asset stripper, an Arab sheikh. I have heard all these wild guesses, plus a dozen more.
Well, whoever it is, could affect our distribution contract. Could turn out to be worthless.
Exactly. And if we are to do business together, I would strongly urge you to get out of that contract. Another 10 days. Why isn't it ready now?
Pierre, because of the attitude you're taking, I'm going to lose heavily over this cruiser.
The fault is entirely yours. If you checked out David Relton's credentials properly in the first place.
Yeah, very probably. But the fact remains is that I'm making this boat for half price.
And it seems half the effort. I came here today to accept delivery.
Pierre, you must understand, because of all this, I have a severe cash flow problem.
If a contract states delivery will be on the 16th, that is when I expect it to be. And today is the 16th.
Yes, well, I'm sorry.
You should be, Laura, because I intend to abide by our contract.
You're surely not going to invoke the penalty clause just because of a few extra days.
Oh, yes. That is exactly what I intend to do. Of what? Taking over Poelma. But surely Ken Masters couldn't raise that sort of money. Or have I been reading him wrong?
No, we tried every trick in the book to make him come clean. All we got in return was a knowing smile.
But in all fairness, he did agree to release us from our distribution contract, if that's what we wanted. Otherwise, he'd back us to the hilt.
You know, when Ken makes an offer like that, I get rather worried.
In that case, I shall be on my guard. He's asked me to see him.
Do you know what about?
Only that it could be to our mutual advantage. Sounds quite intriguing. Wait a minute, Ken. Let me get this clear. You are offering me a seat on the board of Poelma.
That's right, yes.
But why?
When I took over the Poelma Corporation, the company was on the skids. And for one reason only. Every member of the board knew a lot about boats, but no one knew a damn thing about business.
Yes, that much I did manage to find out.
Pierre, apart from being one of the biggest distributors in Europe, you also have personal knowledge of both Relton and Leisure Cruise, their strengths and their weaknesses. Now, we handle craft from both of these companies.
One moment, Ken. I do hope you're not going to ask me to betray any confidences. Even so, I can see that there could be a conflict of interests.
You mean you're thinking of distributing their craft as well?
Everything is possible, Ken.
Is it that?
Ah, now I see what you're getting at. What you really mean is, carve it up between us?
Yes. Yes, that's what I like about you French.
National boundaries are fast disappearing. Anyway, as I intend to extend my business interests in this country, it seems only fair that I should make a contribution. Ideally, the Mermaid Yard, but...
Time is very short. We can't afford any delays. But Pierre has a suggestion.
From what I've seen of his work, I think Leo would be the right man for the job. Luckily, my father does not think like that.
Oh.
Yes. Tonight is by way of a celebration. You see, today I came of age.
I do hope you're not going to tell me you're only 21.
Over the years, my father has gradually given me more and more control of the business, all the time testing me. But today, he has finally retired and handed over the reins to me.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I particularly wanted to celebrate this with you, Avril.
I'm very flattered.
Because the way that certain events are shaping will, I hope, bring us closer together in the future.
I don't think I quite understand.
Given time, you will see. And now, shall I order coffee?
Well, actually, I make rather good coffee at home. And I have a very fine Armagnac.
Handles well, doesn't she?
Beautifully. Just beautifully.
Responds even to the slightest touch.
Ah, she certainly appears to.
Why don't we head back to the office, sort out the paperwork, and then if you've got time before your next appointment, there's something I'd like to discuss with you.
I missed you.
Surprised you had time. There's so many meetings.
Well, I can assure you business wasn't exclusively on my mind.
I wish I could say the same thing. But with all this paperwork on my desk...
Then I'll just have to sit quietly and watch you clear it all.
And if I don't, you may have to go to the prize giving of the gaffers race on your own.
Or I could always invite another guest. I'm sure someone like Laura Wilde would be available.
And what exactly is that supposed to mean?
When I arrived back from Paris, I stopped by at Leisure Cruise.
Well, yes, I saw her myself this morning.
Did she say anything about the Poelma Corporation?
Yes, as a matter of fact. No doubt she tried to get support from you, too.
In a charming sort of way.
Well, don't fall for it, Pierre. She's feeling extremely threatened at them.
According to the Poelma board, he has other ambitions too, Avril. So you're going to have to watch him closely. Otherwise, Laura Wilde won't be the only one struggling to survive. The same might apply to you. Allow me.
No. There's only one person in the chair tonight. Arthur?
The chair.
It's traditional. Come over here and explain to you. I must admit that a merger between us sounds an extremely tempting proposition.
Certainly does to me, too.
But I'll have to think about it. Otherwise, after whining and dining me, you might have me at an unfair advantage.
I think after taking me to your bed, Avril, you're definitely the one with the unfair advantage.
Well, let's stop talking about business, shall we? I'll give you my answer in the morning.
You know all you need to know.
I thought the same when I got involved with David Relton, but I was wrong there, wasn't I?
Not to trust him, perhaps, but if as a result you lose your trust in other people, then you are wrong.
Freer Holdings has been trying to swallow up this company for years. If you've been associated with them at the same time as trying to do business with me, what am I supposed to think?
All right. If you must know. A short while ago, I was approached to see if I would support a motion to remove Charles Freer as chairman.
I didn't know you had any Freer Holdings shares.
You don't make it a habit of revealing personal business details, Avril. Neither do I.
Nonetheless, I think in the circumstances, I think I am owed an explanation.
Relton Marine isn't the only company to come under threat from the family Freer. 20 years ago, My father was manipulated into selling 200 acres of prime farmland in Lyon for a hotel development at a price far below market value. He was way out of his depth up against Charles and Sir Edward's lawyers, but he managed to persuade them to offer a few shares in the development. A modest amount. But they were just enough to cast the deciding vote and settle an old score. The irony is quite charming.
Extremely.
So, you no longer have to be concerned about Relton Marine being swallowed up, as you say, by Freer Holdings.
But one thing I don't understand in all this. Ken Masters' role.
I'm not at liberty to say. But, well, he has a few old scores to settle too. But that won't only benefit Ken, Avril. Being associated with Poelma can also help build and secure the future of my business. And a businesswoman of your quality can assist with that too. I have a proposition I'd like to put to you.
I'm sorry. I can't run you to the airport.
No problem. Don't forget, if you change your mind and decide to go along with the Chalon-Relton merger, you have my number in Paris.
All right.
In any event, you will keep in touch?
I promise.
Then, it's not goodbye. Just au revoir.